What do you guys do to recharge? It's your daily routine that's really going to make a difference in your life. What do your actions say that you value? We're world-class innovators. Take time to dream. Your value does not vary based on someone else's inability to see your worth. Because here's the truth about transformation. You know things need to change, and there's really not a hack to change. You just have to use your God-given strength. I want you to let that truth soak in. Replace what you don't know about the future to what you do know about God. Choose things that restore and renew your body and your soul. All of these things will begin to change your life. So you got to choose gratitude over the grind. And then make time for margin. Decide on downtime. You learn to listen before you react, and you learn to listen before you respond.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to one of my favorite weeks of the year, the last week of the year, where we get to take time to plan and dream and reflect and reset. So if you have been hanging around this community for a while, you know that I am a one-word nerd. I have chosen a word of the year, I think probably maybe going on about 12 years now. I read just a random blog one time that talked about ditching your New Year's resolutions for something different. And it resonated with me because I'm an achiever and I love to make lists and I love to set goals and I love to crush goals. And the person I don't like disappointing other people, but I really don't like disappointing myself. And so I would, make these resolutions and stick with a lot of them, made a lot of changes. But what resonated with me about this one word of the year concept was that it made me think, how do I want to feel at the end of every day? Not just what are some things I want to change, like all the things that are wrong with me that I need to set up and fix, but how do I want to feel at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the year? And so I started this process, and it really, really has been life transforming for me. So my 2021 word was content. So as did the entire world completely lose their footing in 2020, so did we, so did our business. And, our business shut down, all of my dreams, all of my hard work, I felt like everything is gone. But so much remained. There were some remnants that remained that gave me a lot of hope. And my faith is really important to me. And so I really leaned into God during that time. And the word that he gave me at the end of 2020 was to be content in 2021. And what that meant was to not set big, audacious goals like I always had in the past, but to just be content, work hard, show up for myself, for my family, for my community, for my team, and just choose to be present, because I felt like going into 2021 that things might still continue to be rocky and turbulent and frustrating and confusing. And guess what? They were. But guess what? Every single day, I wrote the word content at the top of a journal. I have a journal that's just a one-word journal, to where when something comes up with the word, I go back and I journal in that. But I have a regular daily prayer journal. And on the top of that, I wrote every single day, content. And a lot of days I wasn't content. So how that played out in my life is this. I received things that I did not expect. There were many, many, many blessings along the way. There were also many, many, many hard challenges, but I was content with what I had. And you know what? I didn't set financial goals, but we crushed. If I would have set them, we would have crushed them, just because God is faithful like that. And so it wasn't anything that I was striving for. It was just literally obedience to show up every single day. Our Stretch and Grow, our main business, is still down 40%. My training and speaking business, it grew exponentially beyond my wildest dreams. And so, but you know what? I was content, and it felt good. So my 2022 word is grace. So Let me kind of tell you how I landed on that. You know, when you start to look back at the words of the year, there are 3 specific questions. So if you're a note taker, I'd love for you to take notes because this is where it's going to apply to you. So number 1, you decide who you want to be in the new year. And as you're ending this year, you look around and you think like, how did I feel at the end of all of my days? And I do have to say that at the end of most days, even though many, many days did not go as I had planned, and there are still many, many things up in the air, as my team could tell you. But I did have a peace at the end of the day that, you know what, I did what was in my control, because there are really 2 stratospheres on your to-do list. There are things that I can control. There are things that you can control. And then there are things that only God or the universe or whatever term that you use for the unknown, unseen realm has control over. We do not have control over a lot of things. But most days I landed content that, you know what, I did my best. Did I make mistakes? You bet. Did I do some things I wish I hadn't done? Or say some things I wish I hadn't said? For sure. But at the end of the days, most of the days I felt content. So coming into the end of this year with that feeling, that contentedness did manifest in my life. So when you think about who you want to be in the new year, how do you want to end your days? How do you want to feel at the end of those days? So again, deciding who you want to be. So if you're watching and you've got a way to comment, I would love for you to tell me if you've picked a 1 word before or if this is a completely new concept. And if you had a 1 word in the last year, what was that word and how did it manifest in your life? So I would love for you guys to drop in the comments. I see we're on a few different platforms. We're in LinkedIn, we're in Facebook, and a page and in a group. And so I have no idea where you guys are coming from, but I would really love to know if you picked a 1 word, what was it? And did it work for you? Like, did you stick with it? So you decide who you want to be in the new year. So jot that down. Okay, here's the next step. What are the key attributes of that version of you? So when I picked content, the key attributes is that I didn't want to be constantly in a state of anxiety and lack and frustration. When I'm choosing my word for the year, grace, going forward, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. I want to be a person who gives grace, but also a person who receives grace, because if the truth be told, I'm not really good at either one. It's easy to give grace for people who have a gracious heart. It's harder to give grace to people who are unkind or who, I mean, if the truth be told, didn't deserve grace. And the truth is none of us deserve grace, right? So what are the key attributes of that version of you? Okay. And then, okay, Tammy, I see joy was your last year. And then Shira, you said that yours was wellness and it manifested in wellness physically, emotionally, and in the business. And it ended in being in a healthy space. I'm so glad to hear that. And Monica, you say that your 1 word was confident. So that is very helpful, yeah, to remind you to situations. Marsha, you said yours was perception. That's awesome. So when you're focused on choosing that word, and I love reading your comments because it does show that you guys made it happen. Lori, you said your word was choose, and it helped you identify the things you had control and influence over. And I know most of you ladies who are commenting, we're friends in real life. We've met in real life, or we've worked together. We've collaborated together on some different things. So I love seeing that. And and Lori, you and I both know. I mean, Lori and Monica both run big early education organizations. Monica runs Early Childhood Christian Network, and Lori runs Association of Early Learning Leaders. And so they've had to cancel conferences, change things, rearrange things, move things around. And so, I mean, these are ladies that are living it and have been living it. So again, you decide what the key attributes of that version of you is going to look like. Okay. And then finally, the third one is to choose a word that inspires you. Okay. Choose a word that inspires you. I'm going to tell you guys what inspired my 2022 word of grace. It's this book. It's called When Striving Cease by Ruth Chou Simmons. And the byline underneath it is replacing the gospel of self-improvement with the gospel of life-transforming grace. I have to admit, I'm a self-improvement junkie. I love reading books. And let me tell you, I have a degree in English. One of my degrees is in English. And in my former life, I mean, many, many years ago, 24 years ago, I quit teaching high school English. That was one of my first jobs out of college, is that I taught high school English and journalism. So I read, I love reading. I love teaching. And so I quit reading fiction books probably 20 years ago because I no longer felt like I had the time to absorb myself in a fiction book. I wanted to be the best version of myself that I could be. And so so everything I read, it's some sort of self-improvement. For me, it tends to have a faith-based angle to it. But this book really resonated with me because it said, when striving cease. I struggle with striving. And if you're watching, you're likely a leader. Teachers are leaders. So whatever you're leading, whether you're leading your family or a team or an organization, you're a leader. And as leaders, we tend to strive. And when we strive, we tend to do things in our own strength and in our own power. And so I read this when I was traveling. I traveled to the Tampa area to do a training for some new business owners, some new early education business owners. And so I took this book to read while I was there in Tampa doing this training. And I consumed the whole entire thing over the weekend when I wasn't working. And it really hit me that grace is something that I need more of in my life. And so if I could really grasp and understand what life transforming grace is, I'd be able to receive it and I'd be able to give it. And the truth is, I and my team for sure have been in a lot of need of grace. And we've been on the receiving end of that grace. You know, so many of our schools have been gracious as, you know, we've come back, we've rebuilt, we've had change in instructors, we've had off the chain amount of, you know, call-ins, which what that happens is that stresses out the people who are there to show up. You know, I have my director has been with me for 13, 14 years, a long time, and she is precious to me. And, you know, she's been tired because she's not been able to do her job as much because she's been in the classroom doing the job of others. And I bet if you're watching and you're a leader, you've probably done that and you've probably experienced that. And you're coming into the end of this year and you're tired. And, you know, we want to be able to give grace, but we also know that we need to be able to receive it. So my word and my intention of the year is to be a grace giver, still keeping and setting good boundaries. Now, when I say that, grace doesn't mean that you forgive people for everything that happens, or that you discount, or that you overlook things that need to be addressed, that you overlook having those difficult conversations. That's not what that means. For me, what it means is being able to receive grace, give it back out, and really have a peace and understanding that our worth is not in our work. I'm an Enneagram 3, and I know a couple of you watching, you're Enneagram 3s as well. And we strive and we hustle and we don't rest. I mean, I have a really hard time taking a day off. I have a really hard time taking a time off. And even when I'm not working, it seems like my mind is consumed with ideas, and I always have my phone. And you know, now because I used to just put everything in notes and then I never could find the notes. And now most of you know, if you watch regularly, that I'm a Trello fellow. I love Trello. Trello has organized all my thoughts. So if I have a new idea for a course, bam, I go and I make a Trello card, and then I start, you know, maybe I'll tag the article that I read that inspired that, or maybe I will, I'll do a little bit of research, or I love alliteration, right? I love when things start with the same letter and when they all match, like reset, recharge, renew, like that makes me happy. So as these things come to my mind, I go and I put things in my Trello board and I organize them. So I work hard, I hustle hard, but I also need to learn to rest. Shira, you said you've got to focus on hope, creating an environment of calm and hope, what you've come to call your haven of hope, no matter what's happening in the world. So you suppose your world is hope. Oh, I love that you chose that word. Terry says, it's a new concept for you, but praying for your one word. Also want to start journaling this year. I will tell you, journaling will absolutely transform your life, Terry. So journal. And so, yeah. And Tammy, you're saying that you've never had a one word either, but you love the word inspire. Yeah. You know, as those things come up, like I said, journal. When you look back at where you want to be and who you want to be and how you want to feel at the end of each day. So I'm going to walk through those steps again. One, it's deciding who you want to be in the new year. So if you are stressed out, burnout, maybe you're struggling with negativity, maybe you're struggling with complaining, and that you feel like you just, the things happen and you constantly have to take that thing that happens and then go gripe at someone and just go dump on someone because it makes you feel better to get it off your chest because it so consumed you. Now you just want to dump on someone else. I want you to think about, like, what about that person you're dumping on? Because what if that person is someone that absorbs all of your stuff? And then they had their own stuff, and then you dump your stuff on them, and now they're carrying the shoulders of all of the dumped stuff. So think about that. You know, be mindful of that. So maybe you're in the process of focusing on the negative. You know, we've all been into this, you know, pandemic crazy rush, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Could you choose to move forward? Because this is what we know. We're learning to live with the pandemic. I mean, there was an article today that just said that the CDC has reduced the quarantine from 10 to 5 days for asymptomatic people. So if you don't have symptoms, you can reduce your quarantine. I mean, that, and of course, that's guidance for today, which is December 28th. It might change tomorrow. So we're, you know, we're never holding on to anything. But, you know, so as you're thinking, when someone's, you know, test positive, you're thinking, okay, they're out for 2 weeks. Well, you know, maybe that helps you with staffing, or maybe that helps you with families, or maybe you're a working parent and that helps you with realizing I might actually be able to go back to work. I might actually be able to not have to take, okay, this is 2 weeks of downtime. So there are some benefits to that, but the truth is there's still, this pandemic is raging, and every time a new variant comes up, it's like we have a new set of circumstances to deal with. But what we know is that if you look at your box and the box is divided, here are the things on one side that you can control, and on the other side are the things that you can't control. And so many things are out of our control. So when we decide who we want to be in the new year, maybe it's surrender. Maybe it's something that you need to release that you've been holding on to, thinking that you can actually control it, thinking that I'm going to put all the protocols in place and then there will be no cases. That's unrealistic. I'm going to do everything I can and I'll not get COVID. Are you breathing in this world? Are you sharing breath with other people? If you are, then you're exposed. I mean, it's just the world that we live in. And so I don't want to focus on that, because there's so many things that are happening other than the stupid virus that's going around. So deciding who I want to be in the year also helps me to choose to surrender the things that I cannot control. Again, the second one is, what are the key attributes of that version of you? How do you want to show up for yourself? And then finally, choose a word that inspires you. So I have a list of about 150 words. So if you like notes and you like workbooks, go grab that list at BethCannonspeaks.com/my1word. There's 150 words to choose from it. So if you are a person of faith, pray through it, right? Ask God to show you. You know, God speaks to us really 4 ways: through his word, through your prayers, through other people who know you, love you, know God, love God, and then just your circumstances, right? Look around at your circumstances. That's kind of how I know for me, because someone says, well, how do you know? How do you know God's will for your life? Or how do you know what your word is supposed to be? So for me personally, and again, this is just how it feels for me. I feel like when I've really prayed about something and I really am intentional, and I become razor focused on looking around, I maybe will recruit some good friends who I know are going to pray as well and who have my best interest at heart. And I say, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Would you kind of pray through this with me? So I do. I'm very blessed that I have friends that I can recruit like that. So find people. So again, whatever your faith is, whatever your beliefs are, whatever, find people that are like-minded, right? And then surround them, bring them around, lock arms with those people, and commit to lifting each other up. And then this is what it feels like. It feels like I get on this train and the train just goes, and it goes and it goes and it doesn't stop. And I kind of feel like I want to get off, or I've got like one leg dragging by, but it just keeps going, and circumstances continue to fall into place. And I don't really always know it when it's happening, but I can look back and say, here, I arrived, I landed, here I am. And so what if that was God's will? And then as things begin to play out, I can look back and say, you know what, if I wasn't meant to be here, I wouldn't be here. If I wasn't meant to be in this space, I wouldn't be in the space. And so that's how it kind of lands for me. But again, I journal. And so every day I wake up and I write out what I'm thinking, and I write out the things that happen. And this word grace just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. Laura, you say that your word is believe. I love that. I want to end today believing in the hope and the potential of the promise of tomorrow. And the uncertainty is largely defined the last 24 months. Amen to that, friend. It's put lots and lots of challenges and obstacles. And so we have to shift out of that muck and mire. Those are truly, truly great words. So If you are a one-word picker, I would love for you to write it down. We also have a course for credit. It's just called Discover Your One Word. And then with that, it's like $12. You get an hour credit for it. And then there's some Canva templates in there for you to create your mood board, for you to do like a screensaver for your phone. I always love to create a mood board. So last year when I chose content, I picked images and pictures that made me feel content. And this week, I'm going to start that with my word grace. I really just kind of decided it over the last couple of days when it continued to come up and up. So grace is the word of the year for me. I love all of you all sharing the things that you've been sharing. I think that is great. And then I've got one more really big announcement. I know Shira and Monica are on here. They are actually speakers at our Leaders Lounge, which Leaders Lounge is an online summit. It's coming up MLK weekend here in the US, January 14th through the 17th. I mean, guys, these speakers are the bomb. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you all who the speakers are. I cannot wait for this. Okay. So let's take a look at the speakers here. So we've got Anisha Angela. She is an early childhood coach and consultant. First time collaborating with her. Of course, yours truly. I'm going to be doing something for you guys. Danny Christine, also a consultant. Okay, Noelle. I don't know if you know Noelle. She is the Directors Club. She's got a Facebook, or she's got a podcast, Scribble Time. She's great. Marnie Forestieri of Young Innovators, also Hopscotch CRM. Veronica Green, Ronnie's coming back. She now has transitioned into more coaching and training. We've got Adva Hanan. She is a course creator. She is going to talk to us about 3 steps to leading the classroom with self-trust and confidence. There you are, Monica. She's going to talk about girls and guys just want to have fun. Again, 3rd-time Leaders Lounge speaker, Dr. Rebecca Isbell. Evelyn Knight, childcare business coach. She always brings greatness. She's going to talk about creative recruitment. There you are, Shira. Shira is going to talk about redesigning your school or class to be a haven of hope. And I love that hope is your word. Vanessa Levin, she is the Pre-K Pages podcaster. She's going to talk about 5 shortcuts to skyrocketing your alphabet success. There we go. 3rd-time Leaders Lounge speaker, Vernon Mason Jr. He is hilarious. He's also going to talk about recruitment. Melody McGuire, this girl has figured out Clubhouse. I have no idea how she figured it out, but she has figured out Clubhouse. She is the founder and early educator, and she is going to talk about unleashing your ECE powers. Amanda Morgan, not just cute, getting parents on board with Power of Play. Again, repeater, Leaders Lounge, Prana Richard. She is an amazing trainer. She's going to talk about a leader's role in managing challenging behaviors. Rachel Sapala, she is a childcare business coach and multi-site owner, will let us know about playful ways to turn the chaos into calm in the classroom. Renee Terry, a dear friend of mine, returner, will talk about movement matters. Heather Torres, also Lori, there's your girl. She is on the AELL board, and she's going to be talking to us about in order to understand children, we must understand ourselves, so self-awareness. Carla Ward, also an ECE podcaster, to talk about meetings that matter. 3rd-time Scott Wayman. He is the founder and CEO of Kangaroo Time. He's going to talk about finding your why. So something very different than he normally talks about. Lynn Wanger of One Place Childcare will talk about compliance. And then Hani Wilchansky, you guys may have seen my talk with her yesterday about difficult conversations. Brandy Wood-Smith, this girl is a boss, is going to let us know 12 proven ways to improve our childcare business in 100 days or less. And then you know it, Albert Wright, my good friend, he is back again to talk about race. So if you have not snagged your free ticket, go snag it at leaderslounge.solutions. It's a free conference. So, tickets are free. If you want a VIP pass and you want to get credit for all of those hours, we have a VIP pass. There is a fast action bonus where you can get $20 off. If you go, I think it's like $117 for directors. That's a 24-hour package. Then we also have a teacher package. That's like $57. So if you want to earn your learning, knock out all those hours right at the beginning of the year, you can take those courses for credit anytime that you want throughout the year. And so if you want to just like hoard some hours, have them to be able to use them, that's there for you. So great, great speakers. I literally cannot even believe that they do this with me. I mean, I'm literally shocked that they do this. Okay, before we go, Lori, you had one more comment. I want to make sure I get to it. It says you want to answer these questions at the end of the day and at the start of the day. What do I believe about God? What do I believe about me? What do I believe about my purpose? And then let those answers guide my day and decisions. Okay, copy that comment. That is life. Lori, I love that. What do you believe about God? You know, I mean, I sometimes put God in a box because when I think of God's grace, here's another true reason I pick grace. I don't give myself grace because I'm really hard on myself. I mean, if people are hard on me, I am 20,000 times harder on myself, and you probably are too. And I sometimes confuse God's redeeming grace from me giving myself grace. And I need to be able to grasp that more, as probably do a lot of us. And so, and again, what do I believe about me? You know, what are our choices? And sometimes it's a choice to believe, and it's a choice to choose those thoughts. We actually do get to choose the thoughts and choose the things that we think on. So it is just a privilege and an honor that you guys showed up today. I'll be at it. I've got a little blog coming up, so I will send that out to my email list. If you're not on my email list, but you download this, you'll get on that email list, and we'll also be sending out some more information, doing more lives and interaction for this Leaders on Speakers coming up. We'll be highlighting them. So it is always an honor and a pleasure to get to teach with you. Good luck choosing your word. I cannot wait to hear what they are. God bless you all, and everyone have a very, very happy new year. So long, friends.